on there. Adjusting the sound. Let's see. I don't. You can hear me loud and clear now. Okay, I'm also going to mute the line. Well, I probably won't have to, but I'm going to mute it. Could you still hear me? Mute the lines. Can you still hear me? Could you maybe if you put it, you can hear me well? Yeah. Okay. All right, that's great. You can disconnect now. So we have a full screen. And now we're also going to go to the Facebook. Conference line. We should be right here. Right, exactly. Okay. All right, Shalom Aleichem. And I believe right now, not on Facebook yet. We should be on Facebook live stream. We are on Facebook. With that said, now that's been confirmed. Once again, I'm going to say Boca 8th Shalom, Boca 8th Shalom, Arab 8th Shalom, Lala 8th Shalom. That's in Hebrew. That's Hebrew. Boca 8th Shalom, Arab 8th Shalom, Lala 8th Shalom. Yes, that's with Hebrew. That depends on where you are while you are watching or viewing this video. We pray that you also can hear this video, this recording. If you're live streaming, we pray you hear what's about to be said of this video. In translation, that Hebrew is translated in English as good morning and peace, good afternoon with peace, and or good night with peace. And with that segmented of time greeting and care of with Shalom, we'll welcoming you to another one of our live stream communicative revelations of knowledge and wisdom that was brought to this planet by the only supreme, omniscient, and omnipotent being in existence, whose ineffable name is known as the Tetragrammaton of 3 Hebrew characters from right to left, 3. One of the 3 is positioned twice, of course, and they are known as Yod He Wab He. Yod He Wab He. Translated into English as Yahweh, and transliterated into English of their symbols and characters is YAHWEH from left to right. Remember, English is opposite of Hebrew. In Hebrew, from right to left is Yod Wav He. In English, from left to right is YHWH without the vowels. Praise Wav He. That is who I'm testifying of, that as it was promised in prophecy, I will come and testify of my Father. So let this planet know who he is, exactly who he is, as the mighty God, according to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. And speaking of Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, if you're going to join us, of course, you're going to need your study tools. I speak only from the Bible, King James Version. We speak from all the Bibles, but the most preferred is the King James Version Holy Bible. That's the one that my Ab used. Ab, Alabeth, Hebrew, it means father in English. That is the version that he recommended us to use. We follow him. King James Authorized Edition that was first published in 1611. The 1611 King James Version Authorized Edition Bible. Grab that along with its concordance that was created by James Strong. There's a James Strong concordance that's supposed to record every word of that Bible and its original meaning, whether it be in Hebrew or Greek. From the Greek and English. From the Greek, that started from the Greek's lexicon. And then the English came along and copied from the Greek, even from the monk, Martin Luther, the monk of Canterbury. He copied in German. Today, my people of Judah, the tribe that was taken captive during the 16th century by the English, are now reading the English's idiom and vocabulary. That's all they know. Some are learning, coming back to their natural cultural idiom, their language, which is Hebrew. Hebrew is their culture, their history. Hebrew is their language, their idiom, and Israel is their land, all of it, all the Middle East, all of that Middle Eastern part of the earth, the planet. It's right in the middle, belongs to Israel, which includes Judah. Judah was given a territory as well. On the map, it's known as Judea. And the Bible is known as Judea. Bethlehem, Ephrata, Jerusalem, all belongs to Judah. Judah also is known today as the so-called Negro slave, the black man, the black African Americans, those whose foreparents were chained in the gallows of the ships, working the cotton fields of Mississippi and Alabama, not able to drink from a white water fountain in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. They are still frowning at their faces when they see a black man or woman drinking from a water fountain in the public. Nothing's changed. Only the prices that are going up, skyrocketing inflation during this pandemic that is even more escalated now than it was in 2019. Do not let this government fool you and deceive you, Judah. You can take off your mask if you want to. That's your choice. You also have a choice to die or to live. I am testifying to you of this truth. You don't know me. It was prophesied that you will not know me. You're not supposed to know me. I've come for my own. My own is Judah. I've come to this country with my all. This land, as we landed here, looking for our people, the lost tribe of Israel, the 12. There are two missing. Judah in English, Yehuda in Hebrew, and Lavi. Lavi or Levi in Hebrew, English, are missing. Lavi today are known as Haitians that were taken to Port-au-Prince, Hispaniola, also in the 16th century as slaves on an island. It's called Haiti, hated by their slave masters. Haiti, the hated tribe of Israel, the third son of Israel, hated. But those are still my people. The souls that belongs to me, they're mine. And I'm going to get them, those who I chose. I chose all of them, but they're not going to come. All are not going to come to me. But they're all being called. But there are a few that are chosen. They're going to come. It's time to come, Judah. Lavi, it's time to come. Come to me before it's too late. As I speak to you now in this live stream, if you can see a recording, come to me. If you don't come to me, you're baboon. You're baboon shashwe. Bachwa. I create all languages, and I can speak in French, and I can create words that you have not even heard of in French or French Creole, la vie. You don't speak French, you speak French Creole. Judy, you do not speak English, you speak English Creole. I can speak to you in English Creole too. That's not my subject this morning. I'm the widow's son that was raised. So now I have to speak to you as a widow's son in your English idiom that you speak and comprehend now, English Creole. As I bring to you this supreme wisdom as a man of peace, shalom, that's who I am. From my father, we both landed here and arrived here in Miami. I arrived in 1954 as I landed here on this planet in this Miami of Florida. And my father, whose African name again is Yuri Wafe, he arrived here in Miami, Florida in 1979 as a man. He was fully grown. I came as a babe out of the womb. Same body is going to be our subject. But both of us are here in the United States of America, North America. And my father came to establish the kingdom of Shalom. He came to establish the kingdom of Shalom, not Shalom, Shalom. I am Shalom. According to Micah chapter 5 and verse 5, it tells you that. Love records so that you would know that. My soul is also based in the New Testament of the book called Matthew, the first chapter all the way to chapter 21 of that book. After that, it records my crucifixion. Matthew. My father, my is John. The book called John is his bibliography. That is his book of a diary that he left in Hebrew that now have been translated into English and all languages. So all nations would know what was recorded and what happened and was expected to happen today. Prophetical. So when you read John chapter 1, beginning at John chapter 1, you realize that my father is John. Spiritually, he told the world that 1986. He's known as John the Baptist. He was writing and came to testify of me. And he told them that. It also tells you that in John chapter 1 and verse 5. It also tells you that in 1 John chapter 5 and verse 9. Came to testify of me. You don't have to believe that. I'm not here to make you believers. I'm actually looking for the non-believers so I can burn you up. According to Revelation chapter 21, verse 8, you will be burned. You're going to be burned and disintegrated. Your soul would no more be in existence. All non-believers, all whoremongers, all liars, all idolaters, all murderers are going to taste the lake of fire that will burn with brimstone from the ships that we have that are on their way and some already here. All are not here yet, just a few. That is not a threat. I am not threatening you. I'm reminding you of what's coming. It's prophetical. You cannot escape it. Your only salvation and hope is to come to me. Every word I say out of my mouth comes to pass, and it shall not return to be void. None of my words come to me and return to be void. None of them. You don't have to believe that or mind it. I created you, and you don't know that. I'm not looking for popularity or fans. You're going to need a fan in a few weeks from now if you don't have an air conditioner. You're going to need your own fan. I'll suggest you find an air conditioner. Because my father is going to push this planet 6 miles closer to the sun, 6 more miles closer to the sun this summer than it was last summer. Speaking of burn, see that day is coming, and it's recorded in Malachi chapter 4. That day it's days that are coming. It's going to burn as an oven. It's going to burn you up as an oven. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1. Read it. It's not there just to be read. It's there to happen. It's a reminder of what's coming. I'm reminding you. You don't come to me, you're going to burn as an oven. It's not going to leave either root nor stubble. You don't have to turn to that. You get your Bible, get your concordance, get your dictionaries. Most importantly, I suggest you get something to write with. Get something to write with. Get an ink pen, pencil, prefer the ink pen. Get something to write on. Take notes. Some are going to miss this. You may want to tell them if they cut this video off. You may want to take notes to take them to the Bible so they can read it and see it. That every word I speak is the truth. Every single word is the truth. And I will not repent for what I say. My Father is a man that he does not lie, and neither am I. I don't repent for what I say. I mean what I say. I say what I mean. Praise the Lord. I'm the man. Peace. Shalom. Ezekiel Chapter 5, verse 5. I'm the man. And I now bring to my own people. I'll bring to you our own people, my own people, and to this planet another very special message, a special message today during these last days. Now, we all know by now that it's safe to say that these are the last days. These are the very last days. That's correct. So, for the record, let me say that again, for the record, these are the last days when all prophecy is being fulfilled, all which shall come to its fulfillment, their fulfillment. And just for the record, this recording has been recorded according to our solar Hebrew calendar. This is now the 16th day of the second month of our solar year 6025. That started on March 11th of this year, this Gregorian calendar. March 11th, that started. And we did not add days to that calendar, the Gregorian calendar. We stayed to our own Hebrew calendar, and we started a new series of days starting at 1, 360 degrees of a perfect circle. It was promised that those days would be shortened, and I shortened those days back in 2016 of that calendar. But they're hard-headed. So you can go ahead and continue to say Shabbat Shalom to one another on sundown Friday or sundown Saturday, or whatever day that you chose to create your own Sabbath. That means you have become your own gods. And not only is my Father a jealous God, as we commanded our children, our people, to have no other God before us, you continue to create gods of your own and bow down to them and serve them. And you're going to be punished for that. I'm not promising you that. That's my word. You're going to be punished for serving and bowing down as you create other gods, idols that cannot speak. They cannot see or hear, but you're bowing down to them. Even those that you have created to become a God that can speak and hear with flesh and bones, yet you call your elders of your camps in this country, your Hebrew camps. Continue to bow down and worship to them and bowing down to yourself and admiring yourself as a God. You're provoking my Father to anger, my Ab to anger, and so am I. You don't have to believe that. I'm going to make an emphasis on that, whether you believe it or Aman in Hebrew. Aleph, Mem, Nun, Sophie, Aman, Hebrew. That means believe the fact, a fact. You don't have to. You're born with free will. You came out of the womb with free will. So continue your free will, but just be reminded that your soul is mine. I'm going to go over that in a minute. All souls are mine. I'm going to go over that. But according to our calendar, solar, again, this is the 16th day of the second month. Our Sabbath is now recognized from sundown Thursday to sundown Friday. Our Sabbath rotates every 360 days. They rotate to the next day. Why? Because the planet rotates around the sun. The sun does not move. So that means since the planet rotates, the Sabbath must rotate. The Sabbath rotates. If the sun rotated, then it would stay sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. It would stay that way. But the sun doesn't move. Moves. The planet rotates. And then in order to establish the kingdom of the rulership of the time, then I created the moon to rotate around the earth. And that's what you're worshiping. The moon time that starts at midnight, the lunar cycle. And according to that calendar, today is recognized as Monday, April 25th, 2022, for the recorded sake. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Bunch of hard-headed, stiff-necked, rebellious children and people. Anyway, this is their year known as 2022. There's 2022 years since the crucifixion of that body, the same body, the vessel that I used over 2,050 years ago as I was baptized by John. You don't know what the baptism is. He tried to tell them what that is. They still do not know. Anyway, that 6,025 years began during the time when Cain was given his chance to prove himself worthy as a child and a creation of God, if he could be moral and righteous. You can read of that, Genesis chapter 4, beginning at verse 7. That was his chance to prove himself for 6,000 years. He couldn't do it. You can read that on your own. That's Genesis chapter 4 and verse 7. Read that on your own. In the meantime, what we are going to reveal today is that 6,000-year-old mystery. We're going to reveal that 6,025-year-old mystery from that time of Genesis chapter 4, verse 7, of how the heaven and the earth was created, made, and then the results were formed by the God of the Hebrews, He walked around here on this planet in the flesh as a man. And I'm going to, that's one of the reasons why I had to come on this morning to straighten out some foolishness I saw on social media about God not being a man. Kind of makes my stomach hurt. I feel like I got to vomit just to say that. It's so sickening. It makes you sick that God's not a man. It's ridiculous. Of flesh and blood. All who says that has become gods over him. I just made a statement on that. It's not good to do that. These fools are flesh and blood, walk on this planet and saying God is not flesh and blood. That means they become God over him, of flesh and blood. The most ludicrous and stupidest comment that any human could ever make is that they are their own God. You see how destroyed my people's minds have become for the lack of knowledge? Destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And don't ever think of being a priest to me. How in hell are you going to be a priest to me in heaven? I'm trying to figure out how in hell are you going to be a priest to me in heaven and you in hell? You don't even know what heaven is or hell. So we're going to reveal some of that mystery this morning. I'm not going to take up too much of your time on how did God even created and formed you. And that subject comes from a thesis that my soul posted yesterday. I'm going to go over that now. And the cause of me posting that thesis was, as I mentioned, a few of my own people, my people, are denouncing or accepting the fact that the God that created them is flesh and blood. That I've been reading it, even the past month I've been reading it, even blaspheming me that I welcome. I welcome you to blaspheme, ridicule, and scorn me. I welcome that. You have no idea what you're doing. You think it hurts me to do that? It hurts me to know that your soul will be destroyed for doing it, because your soul would be just incinerated as my soul. The more souls I lose, the more Satan gains. And the more souls he loses, the more I gain. It works both ways, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. the trees of the knowledge of good and evil. So I had to post that as a result of what I read. It was ridiculous. And these Facebook alliances, they have a problem or two of God and his son being in existence as human flesh and blood vessels, even as celestial beings from another galaxy, from infinity, even from everlasting. I told them in my book, my diary, I'm from everlasting. Ezekiel Chapter 5 and verse 2, it tells them that. I am from everlasting. And that provoked me to write that post. In fact, here's what that post of subject read. I'm going to quote it. I have it right here. I'm looking right at it here. I'm going to quote it in part. I'm not going to read it all. It says, now, quote, now, by you reading these words in English, this means that you as a human vessel and is made of flesh and blood. Made of flesh and blood. Let that soak in for a moment. I'm going to repeat that. Now, by you reading and now listening and seeing me, my face on this social media website, whether it be our conference line video or Facebook, social media, you can hear my voice. You can see my vision. You can see my vessel, flesh and blood. This means that as a human vessel, you are a human vessel and is made of flesh and blood like I am. This also means that you came from another extremely omnipotent and powerful deity who created you. Reference Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 31. And I'm not going to read that right now. I'm quoting. Now, this part goes out to all, quote, humans, end quote. That's human. That's from Hay of the universe of man. Human, human. That's Hay. Hay that creates life of you, the universe of man. And with the S at the end, it means it's more than one. It becomes plural. For humans, you think it's a word. Each letter becomes a scientific word that has a meaning. All you see is humans. You don't even know what the H is. You do not know what the H is of the rectilinear. You don't know what that is. You know the H is a rectilinear. Or the curve of the curvilinear. You don't know what that is. This goes out especially also to the tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, reference Genesis chapter 49, verses 1 through 28, especially Judah. Yud Wav Dalet, Yud Wav Hey. Yud Wav Dalet. Hey. The children of Yud Wav Hey, according to Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1, you are the children of the God of the Hebrews, his very blood lineage, children from his loins. This also means that you are now dwelling on this planet as his children that he made of his own flesh and blood that come from one of his first flesh and blood, that's known as Adam, who created the earth. But you don't know that. You have no idea who you're talking to, who you're looking at right now. And you're bound. That's because you're bound to this planet. You are bound to this planet. The God that created you is also flesh and blood. Reference Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 17. You don't know who the God is. There's two. Both. But you don't know which one it is. He let the God of the gods let another God have fun with you in the laboratory, in a science lab, on another planet. And you were created by the wisdom and his discretion. But you don't know that. Why? Because you're bound to this planet. And so is his Christ, flesh and blood. Flesh and blood. The B-L-O-O-D. There's two O's there with Dalit. And the Beth before that, an alignment. You have no, you think it's blood. That's all you see, blood. Just like you, flesh and blood. Reference Luke chapter 24, verses 21 through 53. We're not going to read it. Read on your own. As well as Hebrews chapter 2, verses 9 through 18. That's why I put them in parentheses so you can read that. Study it on your own. Read it. Every word, every sentence that I created in this thesis is backed up by the Bible that you say you believe in. You hypocrite, you. And neither the God, quote unquote, that created you, nor his Christ, quote unquote, is bound to this planet. Neither are they bound to the heaven, even the heaven of heavens. Reference Matthew chapter 6, verse 10. 1 Kings chapter 8, verses 22 through 53. 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 18. Isaiah chapter 37, verse 16, all references. And Acts chapter 17, verses 22 through 34. You got that? End quote. I'm the one who posted that. You can see my vision now on this social media website. This is my face, my flesh and blood that you see. I posted that. And now that means I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain what I meant by posting that. So go to the Bible out of Ezekiel. Go to Ezekiel chapter 18. Let me break it down for you why I posted that. Ezekiel chapter 18. And I'm going to ask, I have angels here with me. I brought back with me the same bodies. Your body is the same one that you have. The body that you are walking around right now, the human vessel that you are walking around this planet, if you can walk, if you can walk, if you cannot walk, if you're crawling in a wheelchair, whatever position you're in, you can see or hear, and that vessel that you have is the very same one that you had from the beginning. You would not give it another one. I mean, when you went away, when you went away and died and became dust, returned back to dust, your soul did not. Only the body did. And it blew away. It's probably still, that vessel, that part of dust is still in the earth. It's still in that coffin or whatever they put you in, a sepulcher or tomb in Egypt, wherever you were. The dust of that body is still there. The soul is not. The soul, you have the soul in the same vessel. It was reformed in a womb from mitosis, it's chromosomes. The chromosomes of your mitosis continue to stay in that soul. It's controlled by that soul. Even the Y chromosome, the YY and the X chromosomes, all of them are in that same body. It was formed. And if you were injured during that time of lifetime in the past, wherever it was, the limbs of your body, if you were injured or whatever it was, you have a birthmark on that position. That lets you know it's the same body, it's you. That's what the birthmark means. You were injured. If you have a mold that shows you how old you were when that vessel disappeared or was killed or died, that's how old you were of a mold. If you have a mold now, it means you're turning older. Your body's molding. Don't you know what mold means? Go to get a loaf of bread and stick it out in the heat for a little while, for a couple of weeks, and see if it don't turn green and mold it. You are the bread of the life. You are the bread of the earth, the salt of the earth. It's bread. Give us this day our daily bread. What do you think the bread is? Word. What's the word? Made flesh. Why do you think they call it bread? They don't have to call it bread. They can call it dough that's been baked. But they call it bread, B-R-E-A-D. You have no idea what the B, the R, the E, or the A, or the D means. All scientifically relates to another word in English. And I'm the God of the words. I create every letter of a word. I can make words that are endless. I would never get tired of teaching, and you would never stop learning. Why? Because I would never stop teaching. Never. My teaching goes to infinity. And I can create words that they never heard of before. Every day I can create a word that this planet never seen, and then not only bring it to existence, but give it a meaning, and then bring the meaning to pass, and bring it into effect. Why do you think Revelation chapter 11 verse 6 says, I can make plagues and bring them as often as I will? There's some plagues that you have not experienced yet that are coming. It's the last days. You better study what God of the earth means. There's a God in heaven and a God on earth. Let thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Read verse 4. I'm upset. My warned you not to provoke me to anger. Not to provoke me. Provoke me not. I will not pardon you for your ignorance, your foolishness. You better go over Exodus chapter 23 again. I will not pardon you for your ignorance and your foolishness. Provoke me not. Obey my voice. You want to know why it says in Psalms, kiss the son unless he's angry? You don't want to see me angry. Why? Because of verse 4. Read it. Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 4.
Behold.
Read verse 3.
As I live.
Hold it. What do you mean, as I live? God is dead? As I live, that means you are putting God to be dead as flesh and blood when you have flesh and blood alive. So you put yourself over God as being alive. He's dead. And yet you have a soul. Who created your soul, fool? Your soul right now is surrounded by flesh and blood. You don't even know your soul is. The first thing that was formed in the womb is your soul. To be protected by a shell. And a piece of meat. A cell, a blood cell. Of vessels. And matter of flesh. Scientifically, that comes from hair. Yod, Wab, actually Yod and Hay. Wab protects it. That's the skin, the tissue, the flesh. As I live, said who?
Saith the Lord God.
In your Bible, you should have a lowercase L-O-R-D, capital L, lowercase R-D. Yeah. And then you have the capital G-O-D that represents both. Why would they put Lord God there as it was in the Hebrew Scrolls? That has a meaning. What's the next part?
Ye shall not have occasion any more to use this proverb in Israel.
No longer after the day where you know this is a proverb, I'm going to break it down for you. It will no longer be a proverb. That's to prove the verb. I'm going to prove the verbs. It's a proverb. You think it's proverb. That's P-R-O-V-E. The R-B. I'm going to prove the R-B. You think it's a proverb. See, all you see is proverb. What proverb? Verses 1 and 2 had nothing to do with no proverb. Look at, what's the spell? I told you to get your Bible. P-R-O-V-E-R-B. You think it's proverb. I'm going to prove the R and the B in this testimony today. Or the B and the R. I'm going to prove it in Israel. Now verse 4. Why?
Behold.
You better hold on to this.
All souls are mine.
How many?
All souls.
All you see is M-I-N-E. That actually defines as possession. That means someone possesses your soul and you have the nerve to blaspheme him. ridicule and scorn him. Who? The one up in verse 3. What else? After the semicolon, what else you have?
As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine.
Keeps reminding. Mine, M-I-N-E.
The soul that sinneth.
What's going to happen to the soul that sinneth?
It shall die.
It might die.
Shall die.
They thought it was a threat. A few moments ago, you thought I was threatening you in this video, this recording. You thought I was threatening you. I'm not threatening you. I'm reminding you. I told you it's prophetical. I'm reminding you what's coming. My Bible's, I'm looking at it, it says it shall die. What it? The soul? Not, it doesn't say person. It reminded you what's in the, it reminded you what the soul possesses, where the soul is. The soul is in a father and the soul is in a son. But they are nothing but an it. They are carrying around it. What? The soul. But you have an alternative in verse 5. What is it?
But if a man be just.
That's your alternative. It becomes a proposition. But why? Why the proposition? Because every man is not going to be just. They're going to continue to be ignorant and foolish and hypocritical. But if a man be just, what?
And do that which is lawful and right.
What's happened? Verse 6.
And hath not eaten upon the mountains.
What eaten what upon the mountains? They eat the mountains of the corrupt, the evils of the wicked mountains. Neither what?
Neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel.
I just went over that. The idols of the house of Israel are all gods, idols of gods that they made. Neither what?
Neither hath defiled his neighbor's wife.
Adultery.
Neither hath come near to a menstruous woman.
A woman on her cycle, or menstruous woman. See, you think that's they put the blood offering to sacrifices, but that's men who are all of us. They are strong. They are strong men who have women. Menstruous. Even a woman who is strong and she is also a wicked woman. But these men that are strew ours, they are all of us who has a woman. It's the same as the adulterer. This woman is a very wicked woman, a mean woman. You got it? That's full of blood. And not because of once a month that they think is they call a period or a cycle, but she's a murderer of blood. A murder of blood. It would make sense if you come to a woman, see it says neither hath come near to a menstruous woman. That if you thought that was a cycle of a monthly cycle of a woman, you know how many of you would die? And you don't know when she's on her menstrual cycle that you think is a menstrual cycle to come near. This means that you would know physically in the mind, you would know mentally that this woman is an evil woman that always brings blood and killing people. A murderer, a murderous woman. Just a vampirous woman of blood. 7.
And hath not oppressed any, but hath restored to the debtor his pledge.
You keep your word, and that's a pledge. I give you my word, I'll be here next week. Right? I give you my word. If you stay here for me for 3 days, when I come back, I'll stay for you. I'll do it for you. You do it for me, I'll do it for you. Loan me $50. I'll pay you back next Thursday. Next Thursday, I swear, I'll pay you back. Next Thursday, get here, you pay them back, just like you said. That's the debtor. His pledge. Restored to the debtor. What? Has spoiled?
Hath spoiled none by violence.
Right.
Hath given his bread
there
to
it
the
is.
hungry.
See, the bread to the hungry. And what?
And hath covered the naked with a garment.
Unlike Ham and Japheth, that laughed at their father, Shem covered them up. 8.
He that hath not given forth upon usury, neither hath taken any increase.
That's stealing and robbing.
That hath withdrawn his hand from iniquity.
And return and repented. Repent. What?
Hath executed true judgment between man and man.
You have that? Between man and man. You know how powerful this is? Oh, it's also a promise. Verse 9.
Hath walked in my statutes.
Those are my statutes. And kept my judgments to deal truly. What?
He is just.
He is a just man or she. That's he or she. Is a just man or woman. He or she shall surely live. Saith who? The same Lord God. That's the same one. And that's not the big one. Verse 10.
If he begat a son that is a robber, a shedder of blood.
Can I tell you what the mistress is? And that what?
And that doeth the like of any one of these things.
The like to any one of these things. What?
And that doeth not any of those duties, but even hath eaten upon the mountains, and defiled his neighbor's wife.
Verse 12.
Hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the plague.
Do you see what you're reading? The opposite of what you just said. And what?
And hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination.
Read verse 13 of the consequences.
Hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken increase. Shall he then live?
That's the question. You think that he deserves to live? Read the answer.
He shall not live.
But what?
He hath done all these abominations.
He shall what?
He shall surely die.
I don't see might in my Bible. What?
His blood shall be upon him.
Now we have blood. There you your blood. Go on down to 20. Read verse 20. Read verse 18. Actually, I'm trying to, because of our schedule. I want them to get this straight. Read verse 18.
As for his father, because he cruelly oppressed, spoiled his brother by violence, and did that which is not good amongst his people, lo, even he shall die in his iniquity.
You got that? Read verse 19.
Yet say ye, why?
Why? You know, they want to know. That's the question. I can hear something. Why do we have to die? Read the answer. Or read another question.
Doth not the son bear the iniquity of the father?
That's why I see the father raise him that way. Raise your child and children the way they should be. Train them up as they should be trained up to go and become righteous and moral. Train up a child the way they should go. And then when they grow up, the morality will not depart from them, the righteousness. So the father's responsible. When the son had done that which is lawful and right, had kept all my statutes, had done them, he shall surely live. Now, that's a promise. That's my word. He shall surely live. See, the soul that sitteth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, though. It's not right. Neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. If you taught the son the right way and the son want to go on his own, the father not going to be held liable for that. Neither the son to the father. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. But if the wicked will turn from all his sins that he hath committed and keep all my statutes, all of them, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live. That's my word. He shall not die. But all his transgressions that he hath committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he had done, he shall live. Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die? I said, have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die? And not that he should return from his ways and live? But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity and doth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he had done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he has trespassed, and in his sin that he has sinned, in them shall he die. Yet they still say it. They're still saying the way of the Lord, the way of the only warfare is not equal. So here now, right now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal? When a righteous man turns away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity and dieth in them, for his iniquity that he had done shall die. Again, when the wicked man turns away from his wickedness that he hath committed and doeth that which is lawful and right, he shall save his soul alive, his soul. And that way, as they've done before, that's why they're here today again, another day righteous. I brought the wicked back again to give them another chance to turn from their wickedness to the righteousness. That's why I brought them back. All that are back here today were here before in the same body. Not the first time your soul been in that body. My father told you that years ago, back in the 80s. He told them that. They didn't hear him. Yet said the house of Israel, the way of the Lord, your warfare, is not equal. I dare you to say that, O house of Israel. Are not my ways equal? Are not your ways unequal? Therefore, I will judge you. I will judge you, O house of Israel. Every one according to his ways, I will judge you. So repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions. So iniquity shall not be your ruin. It's going to be your ruin if you don't turn and repent. I promise you that. Cast away from you all your transgressions whereby you have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit today. For why will ye die, O house of Israel, all 12 tribes? Why? I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth. Wherefore, turn yourselves and live, ye. I'm not interested in you. Ye. Turn and live. Why? Because I created you. Turn to Genesis chapter 1. Let me prove it. Genesis chapter 1. I created you. Well, I'm not pulling no more punches. I can care less. My op say tell them. So I'm telling them. I'm telling them. See, tell them this morning. Tell them. Tell them. You have to know who we are. You have to know who we are. You have to know who they are. They don't want you to know this. They have your minds all messed up, destroyed. You were once a righteous people, a moral people. Now you have become spoiled by the heathen, the devils. Read Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth.
Period. That one line created this whole book called the Bible. That's why it's number 1:1. Right there. If it wasn't for that first line, this book would not exist. The whole book. All 66 of this version, King James Version. All 35 1,000 words in just one book. You don't know what book that is. What came first? The heaven. The heaven came first. And in some books, you see the earth first. But this part, the heaven come first. What's the heaven? What's heaven? The mind. How did it become the mind? See, that's the M-I-N-D. The mind. The M-I-N-D. Right? Okay. But that mind comes from the east. The D came from the east to become M-I-N-E. Mind. So we write it down. M-I-N-E, M-I-N-D. The only difference is the E and the D. If I put an N in the middle of the E and the D, it becomes end. And here we are at the end. E-N-D. So you have M-I-N-D, M-I-N-E. Why? The D comes from the east. The mind. Who is that? The mind is the soul. I'm going to prove it. Everything I say is hidden. The M-I-N-D is the soul, S-O-U-L in English, or nefesh. Nefesh in Hebrew. Nefesh, spelled from right to left. Nun, fe, sheen. Write this down. Nun, fe, sheen. Your Strong's Concordance will prove it. You have your concordance up there? Go to Strong's Concordance, H5315. Go on the screen, go to Strong's Concordance. It should be up there. You have it up there? You got your concordance? Type in mind, M-I-N-D, in the search box. You have it? I know you have it. You can see? All right. You're gonna come across the first mind that's in Genesis. You should see H5315. Click on it, and it takes you right to the fish. Did it? It's there. Okay. You got it? The fish. The soul. What does it say? The soul. You see soul there? Scroll down to the meanings. Soul. Okay. You got it? Okay. That's the mind. M-I-N-D. Now, the mind is also empowered with resh. Did you hear it? The mind, M-I-N-D, is also created and was empowered by resh, R-E-S-H, which is the 20th Hebrew alphabet. The number value of resh is 200. There's 200. What's that 200? The 2 represents both. The 00 also represents both. The 00 is infinity. The 200, 200, the number value, resh. Go back to your meanings, and you're gonna see that too. Go to the next meaning of your of soul. You should come to H7307. Click on that. It's under mind. You know the M-I-N-D? Mind. And click on it. What's that? It should give you the breath of life, the breath, the wind.
And the wind.
The wind
Breath.
is also the spirit that's in your body. If you look further down into C, subsection C, paragraph 1, it gives you spirit, animation, your temper and your anger. That's from resh. It gives you also energy. Resh gives you energy of life. So far you have the nefesh, the mind, the soul, right? Okay. And you have resh. You also have fe, the mouth. Go to 6310. That's mind. See, the mind created is the head. That's the heaven. I created the heaven. How did I create it? You should want to know how I created it. How did I create the heaven? Because I put all of these Hebrew words into the mind of heaven. That when you go to it, you'll see that I created it. That's how I did it. With the Hebrew, with the word. I created with words. I created the heaven with the words, the Hebrew words, not English. The English came in translation to create something else that you see as heaven. It also created the earth. Go to 63:10. What you got? Pei. Well, Pei created the mouth. This is the head. This is the human anatomy of the head that I've created, which is the heaven. You got 63:10. Do you see mouth? I'm creating all of that. The heaven. So now, so far, you have the soul. You have the breath. Now you have the mouth, the opening of your head that you can speak. You see it? Okay. Now, you should also have H3820. This is the heaven. I'm creating the heaven, which is the heart, the consciousness, the consciousness. You can see something, your consciousness tell you something, makes your heart beat faster or slower. If your mind, you see something that you love, or you see someone you love, and you have a feeling in your mind from your soul, then your heart beats faster and it makes you fall in love. Or if you see something frightening that makes your heart beat faster, you get frightened. That's H3820. And you can see it says the consciousness, the courage, the seat of courageousness, the knowledge, your mind, heaven. You see it? Okay. Now you have H5315, 5315, that completes your heaven, that gives you activity in your mind to make you a complete living being. You are a complete living being. That's your mind. You become self. Right? Takes you right back to the beginning. Right? The first one, 5315. That takes from the first shall be last, the last verse. Takes you right back. Thou, that's your heaven. I created the heaven. I'm the one who created that. So what's the earth? What you see is EARTH. That's all you see. So what is the mind? The mind's of heaven. The mind is made by the second of the voice. You got it? The second one, not the first one. This first one is Ma'al. The mind was made by the second one. How? By the sound of the voice of its creator. Are you hearing me? Okay. I'm going to say that again. The earth was made by the sound of the voice of its creator. That is dependent upon the direction and the control of the ear. Let me say it again. The earth. I created heaven and the earth. So who's the earth? The earth was made by the sound of the voice of the creator. That is dependent upon the direct control of the ear. That is affixed to both sides of the head of the skull. That you know as EAR. And that is why the head is the first thing formed of the seed in the womb. It becomes big, the head, to form the BODY that you think is body. It's not the BOD, it's not body. It's not BODY. The head in the womb is the sound that's forming inside of itself, the soul, the heaven, which is the BODY, but it's not a word, it's letters. Each letter scientifically becomes a word, beginning with B, that follows A in the series. Now, as B follows A in the series, you come to the O. That is a circle of infinity. That life continues to go on and on and on in a cycle, and the O is of the geographical shape of the universe, which is infinite. O. which is the O is also the geometry of itself. Geometry. That has me right there as the tree. See, the G is right there with the E. The O in the middle that has me right there next to it with the tree, T-R-Y. Geometry. Or the G-O. See, right there you have just metry. You have me as the tree of life. Without the G-O, it's just me there as the tree of life. That they think is geometry. That's what they created in English. And that geometry is of the DNA. The me as the tree is of the DNA. From left to right, the DNA, which from right to left is the A-N-D, and the heaven and the earth. That's where the and comes in. And the and is also of Adam, the blood, which is the same as the son of Yehoshua, according to Luke chapter 3 and verse 38. That then, as a result of the aforementioned, created the earth with the T-H, E-A-R-T-H, that you think is the planet. It's not the planet. It's proven in this book. See, this book was created by this book, Mathematics of Yehoshua. He added his son, Beth Nusel for Yehoshua. He added both. You think that's Yahweh ben Yahweh. That's mathematics of Yehoshua himself, and he added his son as Beth Nusel for Yehoshua. That's Yahweh and the son of Yehoshua. That's what that is. Designed to rule the world forever. I'm going to quote, just so you would know that I speak the truth. If you do not believe or mind what I'm about to read and you don't believe him, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocritical liar, so you believe in Yahweh ben Yahweh. You don't believe in no Yahweh ben Yahweh, you believe in self. That's why you put yourself over him. That's flesh and blood. I'm going to be quoting, and you can get this book. I'm going to be quoting from page 21 of this book. I don't know how much you're going to allow me to read. And the title of this chapter is Study of Yehoshua, Beth Nusel for Yehoshua, in parentheses, Yahweh ben Yahweh's Geometry, Part 1. In our research, I'm quoting to the top, on our research of the word geometry, underlined, we have found that the word geometry is a branch of mathematics that deals with the deduction of the properties, measurements, and relationships of points, lines, angles, planes, solids, and figures in space from their defining condition by means of certain assumed properties of space. Next to that, second paragraph is geometry underlined. Geometry, the science that deals with Yehoshua, Yahweh's earth. Not planet. Yahweh's earth. By the process of measurement. Geometry is also a design of arrangement of objects in simple rectangular and curvilinear form. Go up to, just for a moment, just go for a moment. Give me a second. One second. Let me explain that. I'm going to spell a word for you. It's spelled, because I'm going to have you go to it. I'm going to repeat it. Geometry is also a design or arrangement of objects in the simple rectilinear or curvilinear form. And if you hear me pronounce those words like that, it was promised that I would do that. I would have stammering lips. I'm only fulfilling prophecy. I'm not doing that on purpose. It was prophesied that I would do that because I'm speaking idiom that was used all those light years. We've been speaking Hebrew. But they have this transliterate like this to make you think that they know what it is. They do not. They have no idea. It begins with, although it begins with Resh. R. See, our Resh created the R. Did you know that? See, their R was created from our Resh. Our Resh, the point is that way. Since I'm on video, when you write the English is R, right? You write the R this way, right? A lowercase. You write the R this way, lowercase, right? Lowercase R, right? Now, I got to do it. I got to do it the opposite way because I'm on video. So I mean, when you write the R, you write it this way. English. I mean, the point, the top point is pointed that way. You got it? The top point is, you write it, and it curves. It has a curve in it, lowercase, right? Now, when you write our Resh, that only one symbol is a symbol. There is no capital Resh. It's one Resh, we write it this way, with a point that way, with a curve, right? That is the rectilinear, right? Rectilinear. Rectilinear. You got it? It's rectilinear. I'm on geometry now. I'm on geometry. Rectilinear with the curve. Look at it. You have it up there? Rectilinear. Rectilinear. Look at it again. It spells from left to right. Rectilinear, right? Because now you're getting near to the rectitutinous. You're getting near to the recto, the near. Rectilinear, right? Rectilinear. Now, what's it defined as? Define it. It says what?
Contained by, consisting of, or moving in a straight line or lines.
Now, they have this definition in the opposite of what it's supposed to be. This says moving in a straight line or lines, right? Okay. So that means what? Let me finish this. Remember that now. Make a note of that. They said rectilinear. Rectilinear means moving in a straight line or lines. Now, as I continue with my wrote here, it says or curvilinear. Curvilinear. Curvilinear, right? To read that definition, you should find out there too. That means that's going to have the curve. So you got CUR for curve, you got REC for rectitutinal, which is straight, right? Okay, now what's that definition?
Contained by or consisting of a
curved line. This is geometry. You got it? Geometrics, geometry. As I continue this page 21, I'm going down now to 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth paragraph. And here my arm has etymology of geometry underlined. You got it? Okay, now I'm quoting. Geometry is an English word descending from the Middle English geometric, semicolon, Old French, geometric, and he has italicized, semicolon, Latin, comma, which is geometria or geometria, Espanol, Latin, and the Greek, geometria in Greek, semicolon, meaning the, quote, measurement of land or earth, end quote. Measurement of land or earth, not the planet. Next paragraph. The quote, geo, end quote, in the word geometry is learned borrowing from the Greek meaning, quote, the earth, end quote. That's geometry. Last paragraph, page 21. The quote, metry, M-E-T-R-Y, end quote, in geometry is a combining form denoting the process of measuring. Well, I said tree, measuring the tree that created from wall. Of having, end quote, metry, capital M, E-T-R-Y, next sentence. Metry descended from the Greek metria, meaning measure. Also descended from the descended from the metron, common meaning, quote, measure or meter, end quote. Now, I'm going to pause here for a moment. Now, let me finish that. Then I'm going to show you what's hidden in the Revelation. I hid this Revelation. I'm going to show you where in the same chapter 21. Because right now, I'm bringing this into pass. I'm loosing that seal of the measurement of the angel in this book, the both. Next sentence. The G, quote, unquote, in geo, quote unquote, the G in geo, quote unquote, represents God, all caps, Yahweh, and geometry. You got it? That's the G. Represents God in all caps, Yahweh, and geometry. That means the good geometrician is Yahweh, Beit Nusafit Yahweh. In parentheses, Odd has Yahweh ben Yahweh. That's God, the Son of God, the deity. And he has colon. Deity in caps underline, meaning a god or goddess, semicolon, divine character or nature, semicolon, the estate or rank of God, all caps, the semicolon, the character or nature of the supreme being considered with reference to the sum of attributes of Yahweh, Beit Lucifer, Yahweh ben Yahweh, in parentheses, God, the Son of God. Explanation point. Next, I'm on page 22, second paragraph, all caps, G, in quote unquote, G, is also the seventh letter of the English alphabet representing Yahweh, Beit Lucifer, Yahweh, and parentheses, Yahweh ben Yahweh, God, the Son of God, in great, complete, and good perfection of his position, with seventh being the ordinal number for the number 7, which has been described as a symbol of perfection and completeness. 7, as the sun came out of the womb in the 7th month, on the 15th day in the middle of the month, is a cardinal number being next after 6, semicolon, 1 of 7 equals parts, and the 7th number of a series, or 7th member of a series. The 7th member of a series, that's 7 angels, 7 candlesticks, right? 7 positions of the name of the Son of Yahweh. From right to left, Mem, Yod, Kaf, Yod, Wafe, 7. 7 eyes, 7 lamps, 7 pipes of the 7 lamps that I showed Zechariah, all there. 7 of geometry, the cardinal number. Cardinal, C-R-D-I-N-A-L, means, quote, of the prime importance, end quote. The prime importance. Cardinal stems from the Latin cardo, meaning hinge, and hence meaning something on which other things hinge, plus alis, or L-A-L, in parentheses. Hinge means that on which something is based or depends. A central rule, principle, or mount, reference Matthew chapter 22, verse 40, period. Hinge Underline means from the source or origin or origin. You got it? The AL, all cap, underline, and cardinal is an adjective suffix meaning on this model. Let's create man our own image on this model. AL also pertains to the Hebrew EL, meaning God. God. In the beginning, God created man, heaven and earth. And in verse 26, chapter 1, let's create man our own image, which is a model of himself. Image of flesh and blood, you fools. The bottom of page 22. Our God, all caps, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, in parentheses, Yahweh ben Yahweh. God, the Son of God, is the model, rule, principle, and mount on which we depend and our base, period. He is our founding father, in all caps, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. I'm on page 23. G, all caps, quote, is the seventh letter in the English alphabet, period. The letter S, all caps, quote, in English, in 7, S-E-V-E-N, quote unquote, is the 19th letter representing foundation and infinity from the number 10. Actually, it is also 19 years between him coming out of the womb and me coming out of the womb. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, connect us together as 19 under S, all coded. Even from the 10th, number 10, right? Which is Yod. G also represents the word fellow with a capital letter in quotes and in parentheses, capital F, lowercase e, L, L, O, W, all spaced, period. The word fellow descended from the Latin socius, having to do with social, economic, sociology, sociological, and society, which means our motto, quote, all caps, one God, one mind, one love, and one action. Exclamation point. Fellow also means a member of any certain learned societies belonging to the same class or group, united by the same occupation, interests, etc., being the same condition as my people, Judah. The word fellow, I'm in the 5th paragraph, page 23. The word fellow descended from the Icelandic feglegi, meaning partner and business associate. The FE, quote unquote, in the feglegi means money and property. The legi means bedfellow and comrade, which is a kin or layer or a liar or lie. In all universal existence, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Beit Nosophe Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh ben Yahweh, and God the Son of God is the late I, L-A-I-R, not liar, L-A-I-R. L-A-I-R. He is the great, grand, and supreme geometrical bedfellow. But look at that word of L-A-I-R and say, no, don't confuse it with L-I-A-R, L-A-I-R, the L to the air. The bedfellow. He is the resting place in which we, his people, are to lie and rest. That L-I-E, not to lie like you lied, that's L-I-E, like you lie down. You lie me down, he laid me down in green pastures. You got it? Laid me down, lie down in green pastures. Reference, and it's right here, as I said it. Here it is right here. And rest, it's Psalm 37:7. As a reference. When he rests in Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, when we rest in Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Beit Nosophe Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh ben Yahweh, God the Son of God, he is our shelter and a present help in the time of trouble. Did you find that, L? What's the definition? That's end quote of this book, of that book. That's just a little bit of it.
Definition 1.
Yeah.
A place where a wild animal, especially a fierce or dangerous one lives.
Like a lion of Judah, or in Miami or Florida. What else?
Definition 2, a burial plot in a
A
graveyard.
burial plot, the graveyard, the United States of America, all of it, the burial grounds of Judah, the lost tribe, the dead tribe of Israel, dead-minded people. That's why he said we. That's who we are. Anything else?
No,
Okay, Toda. Now, I read from pages 21 to 23 of that book. Not all of 23, but to the subject of what my art wants me to do. Why? Because now I'm going to explain the rectilinear that we went to first that he had on page 22. Right? Actually on page 21. Now, here's how you spell it again, those who are taking notes. From left to right. RECTILINEAR. Right? Now take a look at the last three letters. EAR. You have it? I'm showing you how I'm going over Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. How I created the heaven and the earth. This is how I did it. Oh, they thought I created the planet. I didn't say that. This planet is not called Earth. This planet is called Gimel. Gimel with a G. For God. The God of the earth, of the planet. I'm the God of the planet. So this planet is named Gimel. It represents God. It just said Geo represents God. Geometry. You got it? This is not called Earth. The earth is this rectilinear. The ear, your body, is the earth. Beginning with the head, where your soul is, the heaven. Don't you see EAR at the end of rectilinear? Which is what? The straight line. The straight line. That's the definition, right? A straight line, right? Which is what? That's one line to the top in horizontal. One line to the top in horizontal, right? And one line connected in the middle in vertical, right in the middle of that one line to the top. You got it? Okay, now, when both connections are connected like that, it creates a T, T-E-E. And with R there, it creates a tree, T-R-E-E, which represents man. Now, this measurement is of the angel. Look at Revelation chapter 21 for a moment. I'm now breaking down the seal of Revelation by seal of Revelation 21. Revelation chapter 21. I already went over verse 8 earlier. At the beginning of this testimony this morning, I went over that, let you know what's going to happen to all liars, whoremongers, murderers, unbelieving. Verse 21. Well, chapter 21, read verse 1 first.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
Now I just did that again this morning. I gave you a new heaven, let you know what heaven is, and now you know what the earth is, which is new, because you thought that was a structure. You thought it was up in the air. You thought the earth was a planet. It's all done away with. It's passed away now. It's gone. It's no more. That's been fulfilled again, and there's no more sea. Because now you got the S-E-E. There's no more S-E-A because A ascended. Now you're here in the east with me. E. S-E-E. A ascended. I'm here now. You're here now with B. B of the B-O-D-Y. You're here now with the B-O-D-Y, the B. That follows A. A ascended. Now you're here with S-E-E. There's no more C-S-E-A. All seal in codex. You got it? Okay. Now, that's the measurement. That's the first measurement. Going down to verse 17. Actually, verse 16, and the city, what?
And the city lieth foursquare.
That is part of the cultivar.
And the length,
Actually, the rectilinear, straight, foursquare. Got it? And what?
And the length is as large as the breadth.
And hit what?
And he measured the city with a reed.
With the reed. I'm measuring the city right now with the reed. As you now read, you have to read. I'm measuring it, I'm reading it, I'm measuring it right now with the reed. And 12,000 furlongs. For what? For a long time. Furlongs. 1,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. You got it? The length and the breadth and the height of it are all equal. That means all of you should get this knowledge equally. There's nothing unleveled of it. Nobody's going to get more, no one get less. All equal. And he measured the wall thereof from the AL in between the W. Don't you see the AL there from the GO? The wall. Right, so all can get it with Wab. Wab is there. And since Wab is there protecting it from Yod-Heh Wab-Heh, Wab is there as W, all should get this measurement and see it equally. What? And hundred. Who? The dread, the kindred, the dread, the undread, and 40 of the mem, of the metri, mem, and 4 cubits, which is 6 feet, 4 cubits, 72 inches in height, which is what? According to the measure of a man who's standing at 6 feet. Wow. That is her. It's right here. That is her, of the angel. And now verse 21. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And that's coming. That's here right now. You can't see it. It's not my subject. But this goes on. This is a chapter that goes to 27. See how many verses? 27. Got it? Okay, that's that. But that's the ear of the rectilinear, right? The 2 hours, that's the T. That is the EAR and then the T. Right? Now, when you add one more to that rectilinear, right? One more added with the horizontal line, and then put the other line, with the vertical line, you add 2 more vertical lines, and you put the horizontal in the middle, then you create the H. In the middle, that creates the H. And when you put that next to the EAR at the end of both words, the T and the H, what would they mean? Then you get earth. So I just created the earth. That's how I created, and I just created the heaven and earth in your face. You were here with me in the beginning. From the beginning, you were with me. That's the heaven. And I brought more with me. That means all who are with me now came out of my loins. And that comes from chapter 1, Genesis, begin at verse 26, even at verse 27. I bless them, and so be fruitful and multiply, and make more of you like I did you. Make more. Come out of my loins. That's Luke chapter 3. It's all there from verse 23. The same one, the same soul. Right? And see, and then there is the curvilinear. The curvilinear, which is another ear. And that's the one that's symbolized as Resh. It curves. Right? It curved to the left, of which is symbolized for every soul that was created to bow down to the supreme being, bow to the supreme being of the universe, bow. That body that was created to bow to the supreme being. They come from the east. And now he is toward the west. So they have to bow from the east to the west because they were in the west. That's why Resh is the opposite of They are. That's where the Father is, and His Son that was prophesied to descend from heaven in the last days in the West, called the United States today. And that brings you to TH of earth. You want to know how your body was created? Every seed. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians for a moment. That's how your body was created. Every seed is its own body. First Corinthians chapter 15. Read verses 38, 39, and 40, please.
But Elohim giveth it a body as it hath pleased him.
See? That it is the soul, the seed, the body, flesh and blood. So how could you say you are better than he is and he have no body? He's not a man, you fools. He's going to create something that he does not have and preserve himself. How ridiculous your silly behind is. Read the rest of it.
And to every seed his own body. He
gave everyone their own body, and because they have their own body, he can't have his own body. He gave it to them. So that must mean they created him. Yeah, they did in their mind. They created a ghost god. What else?
Verse 39.
Mm-hmm.
All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes,
mm-hmm.
and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial,
mm-hmm.
but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another.
Got that? Celestial is what I created of heaven, and terrestrial is what I created of earth. You got it? All come from the ear. Start with the ear. What ear? You have to hear my voice. When you hear my voice, say rise. Look at John chapter 5. Go to the New Testament, John chapter 5. You got John chapter 5. I'm going to go down to let's see. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I'm going to go to verse. I think they should know this. I'm going to start at verse 21. I better start at 20. What was that? We said something. What was 19? What was 19? This is all in order. The S, the Abra in the book, 19. So let's start at verse 19 because it's connected to John chapter 5. Okay. 19. You read first part of verse 19.
Then answered Memilkop Yodewape and said unto them,
Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. Who is like Yodewape? For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. And he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. So why get on social media and say, show me your works? You fool. Here are my works. He never taught you what heaven and earth is or how it was created. For as the Father rises and raises up the dead and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. Whom he will. That means I don't have to raise up no one if I don't want to. It's my choice. Why? For the Father judges no man, I repeat. The Father judges no man, I repeat. The Father judges no man, but hath committed all judgment to the Son, I repeat. But hath committed all judgment to the Son. You better wake your silly ass up. And you think the Son is Yahweh ben Yahweh? You fool you. Where is he? Show him to me. Show me this Yahweh ben Yahweh, whoever he is. Because my Father's name is not Yahweh ben Yahweh. They have no idea what it means. Keep following it. Keep following that pagan appellation that you created from England. My Father is not the God of England. Why? That all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honors not the Son, honor not the Father which has sent him. You better get your act together. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me. I repeat. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word of the ear that I created in heaven and earth, and believeth on him that sent me. From Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Institute, Miami-Dade County, Florida, on Tuesday, September 15, 1992. Hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is today, for the 16th day of the second month in the year 6025 our solar calendar, Monday, April 25th, 2022 of their calendar, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, Yudhe Wave, and they that hear shall live. For as the Father had life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself. Myself is yourself, and hath given him authority to execute judgment also. Why? Because he is the Son of Man. That's why. You better get your silly self together. You better wake up. I suggest you wake up quick. I'm going to read Acts chapter 17 to close us out. In fact, I'm going to start with Luke first. I'm going to Luke chapter 24 because I'm dealing with a bunch of fools. I'm going to Luke chapter 24. My office told me to go to Luke chapter 24 to remind them of something here. It's the last chapter of the book called Luke. I'm going to start at verse 24, 23. And when they found not his body, why? Because here it is. They came saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, two of them, which said that he was alive. Those two angels are here with me today. And certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre and found it even so as the woman had said. But him they saw not. Then he said unto them, O fools, and slow of heart to believe all the prophets have spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? And beginning at Moshe and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. Here I am again doing it again today. And they drew nigh unto the village, whither they went. And he made as though he would have gone further. But they constrained him, saying, "Abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent." And he went in to tarry with them. And it came to pass, as he sat at meat with them in the word at night, under candlelight, under lamp, he took bread, the word, and blessed it as he taught them, and brake it, and said, "I'm going to break this down to you. I'm going to break that down for you," and gave it to them as he did. "I'm going to break it all down for you. This bread, this word, I'm breaking it down today. I'm doing the same thing I did then as I'm doing today. I'm doing the same thing today as I did then. Breaking it down. I break the bread." And their eyes were open. Those who will see it, their eyes were open. And they knew him, who I'm looking for. And he vanished out of their sight as I turn this off. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to vanish out of your sight again today as I did then. I'm going to vanish out of your sight. When I say shalom, click, I'm going to cut it off. You're not going to see me no more after this, unless you come to Miami. And they said one to another, "Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us by the way, and while he opened to us the scriptures that we never knew before, and that who they call Yahweh never taught us before?" And they rose up the same hour and returned to Jerusalem, and returned to their own houses in the ghettos of Miami, of the United States, in Georgia, in Chicago, in New York, in Mississippi, in Alabama, in Texas, Louisiana, wherever they are. They're going to go right back to the same ghetto, just like they did, returning, and found the 11 gathered together, and them that were with them, the other 11 books, the other 11 that they following, saying, "What? It's him." They came here to interview me from Washington, D.C., and from California with the movie production cameras and lights, and said, and when they left, they said, "It's him." No one else can say what he said but him. What he even said, I could listen to him all day. Just like they interviewed my father in his temple, in his office in 1986, they came to me. Because I told him in 1992, "You got the wrong one." And took him all through the judicial process. He never made no photo op of himself being on the cross with his shorts on. He never did that. It was their idea to do that. Who told you to do that? You fool. Didn't you know that John the Baptist was beheaded? Why? They took his head away. Why? Because that's where the soul is. They tried to cut it off so he won't come back again. Can't do that. You can't kill God. He told him he's John the Baptist. Read your scriptures. John the Baptist was beheaded. They took his head off. But that was a body, a vessel. You can't take the soul of God. You out of your mind? Yeah, you out of your mind. Why? Because you have no mind. You're out of it. That's why it's him. Yeah, it's him. He's risen and has appeared to Simon. All of those simple-minded people. All the simple-minded. Simon. Comes Simeon. Comes continue to go on. Even Philip-minded people. Philip, the minds of Philip, the foolishness. And they told what things were done in the way, and how he was known of them in breaking of the bread. Only he could do that. And as they thus spake, he himself came in. I came in himself, stood in the midst of them, and said to them, "Well, I always say, Shalom et Lechem shalom, not shalom. I say, Shalom is here." But they were terrified and frightened, and supposed that they have seen a spirit. No one can teach us that but him. I thought he was dead. And I said, "Why are you troubled? And why do thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold, my hands and my feet, that it is I, one, myself, me. Handle me, Memyo, and see. For a spirit has not flesh and bones as you see me have. I'm flesh and bones, just like you. Out of your mind. Now let's go to Acts chapter 17. Acts chapter 17. How ludicrous are you? How foolish to think that God is not flesh and bones. Look at verse 24. 23. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription. It said what? To the unknown God, because you had no idea who he is. Which one was who? They didn't know. How could you know it? It's still right here in all caps, the Bible. Whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him declare unto you. How you ignorantly worship him? By saying Yahweh be Yahweh. God that made the world and all things therein. He is the one. See? Seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth. Dwelling not in temples made with hands, neither is worship with men's hands, as though he needed anything from them, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, of their faces of the body of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed in the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring, and they want to be, they are. For as much then as we are the offspring of God, this is speaking for someone else, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold or silver or stone, graven by art and man's device. That's what they got, and man's device. That's what they minds. That's why they say he have no flesh and blood. And the times of his ignorance of God, of this ignorance of God, winked at Elohim, but now commanded all men everywhere to repent. Why? Because he had appointed a day in the which he will judge the world in righteousness by that man whom he has ordained, that we just read in John chapter 5, whereof he has given assurance unto all men, in that he has raised him from the dead. And when they heard of the resurrection of the dead, some mocked, as they're doing now, as others said, we will hear thee again of this matter. So what? So Saul departed from among them. Howbeit certain men clave unto him and believed, among the which was Dionysius, the Areopagite, and a woman named Damaris, and others with them, all with them. Praise the Lord. My people are just ignorant, and they're going to perish in their own ignorance. And I really don't care what they say about me. They can say all they want about me. That's what they do. They speak about me. They know nothing of me. Hebrews chapter 2. This is in a thesis I posted. Hebrews chapter 2. Take a look at Hebrews chapter 2. Let me make this clear. Verse 8. Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection unto him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him. You cannot. But we see Mem Yod Kaf Yod Wafe, who has made a little lower, was made a little lower than the angels of the suffering of death. That means he was a lot lower, made a lot lower than the angels. Why? For the suffering of death. You don't know how high I came from. I came from high. I made myself lower so I can come out here with you fools. I descended down so I can come out here and get my people and my angels. I didn't have to, but I did. I wanted to. Crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of my Yod should taste death for every man, and I did. For it became him for whom all are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons into glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For both he that sanctifieth and they who are sanctified are all of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them ox. Shalom, ox. How you doing, Akko? Brethren. Saying what? I will declare thy name unto my brethren in the midst of the congregation, the nation of Israel, will I sing praise unto thee. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which Yehovah in my arm has given me, they are mine, my children, are given me. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself, myself, likewise took part of the same. You wouldn't want to see me like I am without flesh and blood. That means we gave you flesh and blood like we have flesh and blood. What makes you think that you would only want flesh and blood? Do you know what you look like without flesh and blood? Go look into the womb of a woman with an embryo. With your stupid mitosis self. Why you think that when you go through an abortion, it's nothing, you see nothing but cells of a seed and blood without a body formed yet. All you see is a little embryo. And all those who got aborted, all those who do abortion should have been aborted. I repeat, for as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is the devil. That's what I'm here for. To do what? And deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage, Judah. For verily, 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 he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. As I came through, my arm put his seed in Abraham and brought me forth from the loins of Abraham, so we could descend down from heaven, from our other planet, far from beyond this planet. Wherefore, in all things, he behooved him to be made like unto his brethren. That's why I look like you. Do you think because I look like you, I'm like you? I just look like you. You have no idea how much power is in this body. And I told you in Ezekiel Chapter 3, verse 8, I'm full of the spirit of power, full of power by the spirit of my of might, of judgment. I'm full of it. You think I'm an ordinary man, you fool. I repeat, wherefore in all things he behoved him to be like, made like unto his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to Yehovah Ma'ab, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people, you foolish people. For in that he himself has suffered, being tempted by these fools, he is able to succor them that are tempted. You want to continue to tempt yourself? You want to continue to do that? You want to continue? Then continue. Continue. Continue tempting me. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. And even as I call the comfort line, same thing.